Hi, you're watching The Real Story. I'm Lori Perez. Former U.S. Congressman Christopher Shays is asking for your vote, this time to put him in the Senate seat being vacated by Senator Joe Lieberman. Linda McMahon won the endorsement of the state party, but Shays will be on the primary ballot, hoping the people give him their endorsement. We are happy to be here today with Christopher Shays and also to be joined by current columnist Rick Green. Thanks to both of you for being here. Christopher, if you could just start off just talking about how you felt the convention went and where you are at this point.
You know what? A convention is a dialogue with 1,200 Republicans, and I'm looking forward to having a dialogue with 450,000 Republicans. Delighted and grateful that I have the necessary 20%. We got 30%. Actually, we only needed 15, and we got 30%. So I'm in the primary. We're set to go, and we've got 12 weeks until August 14th.
I heard you say that it was tough to hear at the convention from people who said that they thought you were the better candidate, that you could win the general election, but that they were going to back Linda McMahon. I mean, it must not only be tough, it must be confounding to hear that, right? Well,
that's the way conventions sometimes work. But, you know, I'm grateful that we're in a tough race with Chris Murphy. I mean, we're incredibly competitive, almost equal. I have got a ways to go to win the primary, and I have 12 weeks to make my case before the Republican voters. So.
Rick?
Let's assume it's Senator Shays, and the first issue that Congress is dealing with is the budget. And I think a lot of us are tired of the gridlock in Congress. Republicans versus Democrats, nothing happened. Nothing happens. What would you do? Would you make some concessions? Would you break from the Republicans even to try to find some compromise on this question that's going to come before Congress right after the election? We're talking about the budget.
Right. Well, first of all, I served 10 years on the Budget Committee when we balanced the budget for 4 years. And so I know how to balance a budget. You cut spending. You can cut taxes somewhat if you've cut enough spending, and they're the taxes that create more revenue. We froze regular government spending, and we let entitlements go up, but not as much. So I know how to do it. And when you do it, you have to work with both sides of the aisle. I never introduced a bill without trying to find a Democrat to co-sponsor it with me. So every bill until 2008, I had a Democratic co-sponsor. Not in 2008, because Nancy Pelosi told folks they couldn't sign on to any bill that I was introducing. So to answer your question, Rick, we've got to work with both sides of the aisle. And we've ultimately got to be willing to make our strongest case and then make some agreement with the other side to move our country forward.
Well, for example, Andy Rohrbach got crucified when he meekly suggested that for every $10 in cuts, we might want to consider $1 in revenue increases, which seems like a pretty modest compromise. Would you support that?
Well, when I saw the presidential debate, and there were like 8 Republican candidates, and they all said no to it, I would have said, would you repeat the question? I can get $10 of spending cuts for just $1 of tax increase, revenue increase. I'll take it.
But with you, when you were in the House and you were balancing the budget, that was with the Republican majority. I mean, without that, I mean, if you were to become senator.
We had a partner. When we balanced the budget, we had a partner. His name was Bill Clinton. We made agreements with the president, and we balanced the budget for 4 years. We passed welfare reform. We passed congressional accountability. The first bill that passed was what Newt called the Shays Act, getting Congress under all the laws that we imposed on the rest of the nation. And that bill that I had been working on for 4 years, Dick Swett, a Democrat, was my co-sponsor.
But haven't the Democrats presented budgets that Republicans have kind of stalled?
Oh, wait a second. Let's talk about the Senate. 3 years and 1 month. No budget. A budget tells you how much you can spend in appropriations, how much you can tax, how much you can entitle. It's a plan. And the Republicans have passed a budget every year in the House, and the Senate hasn't. And you can't filibuster a budget resolution. So they can't blame Republicans for the fact they haven't passed a budget in 3 years. It's, in my judgment, one of the reasons why you need a new Senate.
Connecticut is probably, across the whole country, one of the best opportunities for Republicans to pick up a seat in the Senate. It could tip the Senate in the Republicans' favor. Republicans in this state, at least Republican leaders, 6 out of 10 of them say, we want Linda McMahon. Why should Chris Shays be an option when 6 out of 10 Republicans are saying Linda's our choice?
And I say, go figure. I mean, the bottom line is the minority leader of the Senate and the minority leader of the House both voted for me. Why did they both vote for me? Because they know I could win the general election, and they know I could help create a Senate majority in the state Senate and a House majority in the House, the General Assembly. So I'll take those two leaders over any of the others that wait on the other side.
Do you think that a campaign against Linda McMahon in the next 6 weeks, that her history with the WWE should still be a part of the campaign? Some of your supporters are throwing that out there. Right. Is that part of your kind of central
I'm running
platform here?
I'm running because I want to restore the promise of America.
Right.
When I was growing up, my parents told me my life would be better than my brothers who were older, and that my children would be better off than I am. And the promise of America seems to have disappeared from our discussion. You need to grow the economy, and when you grow the economy, every American will be better off. So that's why I'm running. I want my country back. Now, if my record for the last 30 years is legitimate, her record for the last 30 years. But my focus is on why I'm running. I want my country back. I want my country back, the country that is dynamic and forward-thinking.
Do you think, excuse me, do you think that her business, was it pornography? Should people know that that's what it was?
You know what? They just should watch it and come to their own conclusion. They should watch now and what happened in the past, if they're curious.
Right.
But I think a lot of people won't be.
How would you characterize it?
You know what? I'm not going to characterize it.
Okay.
We're going to take a quick break, and then we're going to come back and continue our conversation. We want to talk more about the economy and your ideas about re-energizing it.